33 million miles between me and the sun. And I've never needed to use a measuring stick to remind myself how far away that is. I thought about the brilliance of God and the way that his essence is radically beyond me. And then I tried to think about perfection, and every mental picture that I painted reinstated an even clearer picture of my rejection. You see, his nature is characterized by a brightness that braces itself with intensity that no other source of light could attempt to define. In every proposed presentation of cleanliness, the purest shade of white placed on perfectly fitted sheet that has never been used, and that doesn't even scratch the surface of what it looks like to be fully unmarked. And if I could bottle up the experience of watching polished bronze shine, that doesn't even give a baseline of what it's like to look at his glory. And I didn't know what to do with that, because then I looked at myself. And I couldn't think of a more extreme contrast, because I was everything that he was not. I was like that one rusted wheel that kept falling off, and no matter how many times you try to put it back on, it kept failing, and it kept failing. And for some reason, I liked the things that made me sick. So I built a home in the thick of it, and it's not that I liked the feeling of dirt, but the comfortability of something staying the same. The consistency of its texture on my skin made me feel something, and it became really easy to love the darkness because there was no light to keep me accountable for the steps that I was taking. So he was him, and I was me, and there was a chasm that stood between us. If he wanted nothing to do with me, I would understand. In fact, if he looked the other direction, it would be mercy, because he should hate me. I chose to cover myself and everything that he told me to stay away from. It would be illogical for him to ever reach down from his throne, since the standard to enter his presence is perfection. Yet in the richness of his mercy, he decided to look at me. And he knew that I was incapable of ever being able to save myself, so he sent his son to save me. You see, in his kingdom, the richest thing that he offers is grace. So he assigned his son to be a chasm closer in order to bring me closer. His mission was to present us before God, not as our messed up selves, but as pardoned by the one who did what we could never do ourselves. Jesus walked around this earth for 33 years, surrounded by the brokenness, the backstabbing, and the pain. But in him was a love for his Father that propelled him to push past temptation and obedience to follow through supplication. And through his sacrifice, he humbled himself to the point of death in order to elevate me to the point of life. His blood was the only substance that was capable of washing me clean, so he poured it out so that I could be clean. And it's a mystery how, in all of his holiness, he looked at me with all of my holes and decided that I was worth having a hole put in his hand. So we closed the chasm, and now when God looks at me, he no longer measures me by my scars, my sins, or even my strengths. He just sees the perfection of his son who took my place, and Jesus, being a placeholder, places me in places that I never could have taken myself. Now I can know what it looks like to walk with God. To know that I can just sit in humble adoration and that I don't have to prove anything. To know that God actually hears me and his only request is my vulnerability. To know that I can enter a throne of inexpressible glory every time I say, God, I need you. And I don't know why he did it, but the only thing that I can do is say thank you and live my life as proof that I mean that.